Today, I wanted to take a look back at Hermes Gasparini versus Alazan Muratov, and that's because I think that Alazan did just about a perfect hooking technique in this match. There's one thing that Alazan did that a lot of hook pullers are unable to do, and it is an extremely powerful technique. And that is that Alazan was able to hook Hermes without bending his wrist. So let's take a look at this round one. I think that this round is the most important rounds in the entire super match. And notice how Alazan never actually bends his wrist in this match. However, the lane definitely looks like an inside lane. So let's look at this a little bit slower. Upon the go of the match, we see Alazan initiating with a supinating pressure, but he still is unable to bend his wrist. He's chopping down, he's pushing past Hermes' arm, still without his wrist bent, and if anything, it almost looks like his wrist starts to go backward a little bit. Yet he is still able to get through the bicep of Hermes, he is able to isolate Hermes' bicep, and then eventually he's able to get that arm-on-arm connection, and he's able to use his side pressure, his entire body versus Hermes' elbow flexor, and he's able to rip him down toward the pin pad. So how does Alazan do this? There are two things that are super important that Alazan has to achieve if he wants to hook in this way. The first thing he has to do is he has to supinate. Now notice how immediately off the go of the match, from this alternative angle, Alazan's arm is already totally supinated. Now it may look like Hermes Gasparini has simply defeated Alazan's pronation and he has cupped his wrist in, but this is actually a trap set by Alazan. Alazan wants the match to turn into this supinated lane, and that's because this is going to give him access to use this meaty part on the side of his palm to chop directly into Hermes' arm. The pinky pad part of Alazan's palm is making contact with Hermes' arm, and Alazan is applying his side pressure through that contact point, which ultimately is attacking Hermes' elbow flexor. The reason he had to supinate in order to do this is if he began to drive sideways with a neutral wrist, this would put a ton of pressure into Alazan's cupping. His wrist probably would have gone back if he attempted to do this, but because of the fact that he is supinated as he applies down pressure, it's not going to put a ton of pressure into his wrist flexion. In this match, Hermes broke one of Devin Larratt's cardinal rules, and that is to never take what is being given to you. So in other words, what Alazan did in this match is he took Hermes' huge amount of back pressure. Of course, Hermes' back pressure isn't as much on the left arm as it is on the right arm, but he still has a ton of back pressure, and Alazan put Hermes into a position where Hermes' back pressure was not attacking Alazan's wrist. If Hermes was in a position where the full amount of his back pressure was attacking Alazan's wrist, I don't think that Alazan would have been able to contain that. But because Alazan supinated off the go, Hermes' back pressure is now not even attacking Alazan's fingertips very much. He's more so trying to jam sideways right up against Alazan's pinky pad, but this isn't going to do anything because Hermes is now fighting a bone lock. And as the match goes on, you can just see more and more so that Hermes' back pressure is not doing anything to attack Alazan's cupping. Alazan has done a perfect job of putting Hermes into that position where his back pressure is going against his side pressure. So if you are someone who's trying to force people into a hook and you're having a lot of trouble doing so, you're getting your wrist cracked back, make sure to take notes from Alazan, because you don't even need to bend your wrist in order to get the match into an arm-on-arm inside lane if you do everything perfectly. And that's exactly what we saw here from Alazan versus Hermes.